Hello, fellas. Hello. This is a tough one to have to do. This is I don't know if we're gonna call it an emergency pod again. I guess the title says emergency pod, but when you factor in that I'm under the weather, Mike just got back from an international vacation.
Arigato.
Mech, I don't know what sort of hardships you're dealing with, but they all pale in comparison to what's going on with the Kansas basketball team right now. 62-61. They lose to West Virginia in their conference opener. Uh, Adam Sullivan, I think, had this that it was their first home conference opening loss since 1963. Who was coaching that? Was that Ted Owen? Was
Ted, probably Ted.
Ted was there for a long time, so that would check out. But certainly unprecedented for the Bill Self era. So I want to kind of start with what the conversation was online after that game. And really during the game in the first half when they got down huge, in the second half when they when they got back in the game. We'll talk about Flory almost saving the game and potentially the season. But then the last 30 seconds of that game wiped away whatever optimism you were trying to find over that last 20 minutes of the game. This is once again a KJ Adams conversation and a Bill Self conversation. That it was the theme last offseason. I remember us sitting here saying, when they start bringing in all these wings, Mech, it's funny how we come full circle because I was the one saying there's no way KJ is going to start next year. There's no way. You don't go out and get all these wings and these shooters and these guards and then start KJ at the 4 with DeJuan and Hunter again. And you were like, yes, he will. Trust me, KJ Adams is going to start. And I said, what do you mean start at the beginning of the season or start at the end of the season? And you said, yes, all of the above. It's all going to happen. And here we are, one game into conference play, one loss, and it's the same old story. Granted, he did go away from it in the second half, but not because he wanted to play another shooter or another wing. He wanted to play an even more true two big lineup with Flory, and it actually worked. So maybe that's the path forward. But I want to start with you, Mac, because I know, Mike, you were traveling at the time, and you were 12 time zones away. So,
Arigato.
Mac, what were you feeling after that game? What are you feeling now, 48 hours removed?
Look, I think I'm happy that it happened now. Because what's the thing that we always fall back on? And this goes back to the Roy Williams days. Hey, you get to winter break, and boy, you're going to see a different team after they get all these practices. They're just going to make big leaps. You got all these new guys. It's all going to come together. And obviously it's not. And so I'm happy it happened at this game. Now, Missouri should have been enough. Creighton should have been enough. But I think this, West Virginia at home, this should be enough. You have to do something different. Now, is KJ still going to start? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes.
What are the odds? Hey, give me a Vegas line on KJ starting.
Minus 500. He's starting. I don't care what you guys
not
said.
Offered.
Yeah, it's all. I tell you what, if I'm running the book, I'm going to put some plus odds on him not starting just to get all the money, just to play to the fans. But yeah, the first half was some of the worst basketball I've ever seen. I mean, it was awful. I think Bill Self said it's the worst offensive team he's seen in 22 years in the building. And it was his biggest thing was how unaggressive they were. He just kept saying just weak, unaggressive, just not aggressive at all. And he was talking a lot. He was talking about everybody. But if you go a little further, because someone asked him, hey, what'd you see from Rylan Griffin and AJ Storr? And his answer, did you hear his answer?
No.
Nothing. His answer was nothing. Quote, nothing. I didn't see much. They both had chances, timid, non-aggressive, didn't see much. So I'm just he wants these guys to be aggressive, and they're all terrified to be aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. It's a mess.
I think I'm halfway there with the prevailing sentiment as to what KU's problems are. And I tweeted about this after the game and did not get met with much support.
I saw that.
My take was I didn't say anything about KJ. All I said was Rylan Griffin and AJ Storr have been absolute zeros this year. I don't know how somebody can watch and want more of them. And I understand the other side of like wanting more of them can be, well, it's not that I'm in love with what they're giving this team. It's that I have a strong disdain for what KJ is giving this team. So I get it. But I also think if you're asking Bill Self, specifically Bill Self, to say, heck, hey, I know these guys haven't been doing anything I want them to do. I don't know what that exactly means. Like, I don't know if that means they're not practicing hard. He's not seeing enough out of them defensively. If they're not being assertive, aggressive, like you said on offense, we don't know like what that is. Mike, maybe you can speak to that if you do. But if he doesn't like what he's seeing and you're asking him to say, oh, well, I'm just going to play you anyway. It's like asking Barry Bonds to lay down a drag bunt.
He's kind of like doing it.
It's like that's not what he does. It's not what he's ever done. And I know that we like to paint this as like a new thing. It's all about the transfer portal era, and there's some of that there. But we've seen scenarios very similar to this so many times over the last 25 years with Bill Self at Kansas, and they always go this way. Like it reminds me the most of 2015, Cliff Alexander versus Jamari Traylor. Cliff would keep having these big games. He'd have like 12 and 10 and 3 or 4 blocks in 20 minutes, and he would spot start, and then all of a sudden he'd go back to the bench, and then Jamari's back starting, playing 24 minutes a game. Cliff's playing 17 minutes a game, and it was this constant online conversation of like, just play him, let him learn through his mistakes. He's going to get better. You need to let him learn now so he's ready for you by the time you get to March. It's just not the way that Bill Self has ever operated. And I don't know how we can sit here in 2025 and be like, but do it now. Let's turn over a new leaf.
I actually think he's been doing it with AJ Storr because he has been really unhappy, and he has kind of tried to let him play through it quite a bit. Now he's been trying to do that alongside KJ and Hunter, but like he's tried. Like AJ Storr has had these opportunities. Bill is not happy with AJ Storr. Like this is obvious, right? I think like it seems like he has like still kind of forced this, though he's still refusing to go like 4 guards or really to change the big 3 here of DeJuan Harris, KJ Adams, and Hunter. But there is like the assembly of this team has put these guys in a bad position. I have not seen them get put in a position to make things easy like Bill's always tried to do. You know, get high percentage shots when times get tough. Like there has been I think he's frankly like putting them in a bad spot so far, and they haven't been able to quite overcome it, or no one has been able to rise to it. And so we're just kind of stuck rotating dudes in a bad spot without much flexibility from the coach of how they're going to play. So like that's my more analytical take, but like, I don't know. He's obviously not pissed at those guys and has been. I think he's pissed at AJ. I just don't know that he trusts Rylan yet. And Rylan, I think, has been. I think all these guys are pissed, to be honest.
Like you're talking about the players. The
players, they don't know what their role is. Yeah. And I've heard this before. Like this is a thing that's happened with transfers, right? Mech was kind of talking about it, or Nick, did you say it? Who said? Again, sorry, I am very tired. Like we're told to be aggressive, but we're scared to play aggressive.
Yeah, that was
Someone
me.
said that. Okay, yeah. Like Joe Yesufu, remember that one game where he had like an open three and like didn't know what to do, and he might have ended up like traveling basically, but like that was I him being like I kind of recall hearing at the time where it's like his frustration was more of like I'm told to be a scorer, but I come in and shoot and get pulled, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what he wants from me. And you've heard this for kind of years with KU players.
Do you know the least minutes AJ Storrs played since, well, at least 5 or 6 games? Played 15 minutes. I guess how many points he had?
2,
0.
4.
Okay. Guess how many rebounds?
1.
0.
Yeah.
Assists, blocks, steals, fouls, 0 across the board. He almost had a 15 trillion. Like, impressively, he got one shot off. Like
AJ Storrs
that's hard to do.
Really been disappointing.
That's hard to.
Like,
that's like difficult to do.
Well, here's what I don't understand, and maybe it's just as simple as like some guys are wired.
To do.
Some guys are wired different. I get it, but Zeke hadn't had any problems getting acclimated to this system. I mean, the dude's given
for a minute.
Yes, please.
We got to. I mean, the one thing I said after the game, and I don't know what I didn't know what to say after that game. Like it was so bad, right? But the one thing I said that I think that we ought to, I don't know if it's something that he'll listen to or Bill will actually believe, but the one thing we know is that we solidified 100% who our alpha is on this team, and it's not close. I said, run everything through Mayo. Lineup construction needs to actually revolve around it and go. That's your answer. I mean, at this point, if you don't see that, if you haven't picked up on that enough, like that's the answer. You want to turn the page, like that's what you have to do that. Bill kept talking after the game. We have no one on our team who can get their shoulders past anybody. Well, he can. He shot 13 free throws. He made all 13. He can get his shoulders past somebody. And yes, sometimes you need help to do that. Like, yeah, I mean, he does need teamwork to do that. But still, he can do it. And he is the most aggressive dude on the floor, and it's not even close, other than maybe Diggy. Maybe Diggy's the second most aggressive guy on the team.
Last 3 games for Zeke since that Mizzou loss, 26, 25, 27, shooting lights out from 3. Like you said, Kevin, he took over the game at the free throw line versus West Virginia. Like he was, along with another guy we're going to talk about, he was the catalyst for KU getting back into that game. Are we approaching like Zeke is this team's best player? I know you said a lot of other things there. Are you ready to say he's this team's best player?
I don't think it's close. For what this team, and my favorite thing we saw, and I can't remember what game it was, but the 2-man game with Hunter and Zeke, they were playing. Just
NC State?
NC State. It was NC State. Unstoppable. And you can only do that when you have a lineup that allows it in the game. And that action was unstoppable. It looked so good. And when you have 2 guys who can do the things that they can do, like that's the obvious thing here. He has to figure it out. We also need to shoot more threes, but I've been saying that all year.
Yeah, I mean, but going back to the reason why everybody's so upset right now is it's tough to shoot threes when you have 3 effectively non-shooters on the court together, which this team likes to do.
No one knows what to do. They don't know their role. They haven't
been
given a green light because Self's pissed at all of them.
Yeah, it's like so. This to me is like a more 30,000 foot view conversation about like how Bill Self is coaching these guys and how he needs to coach or maybe evolve in the transfer portal era. We've got a 4th guest joining us now.
I also have some kind of breaking news for when. So finish the thought and then.
No, it's gonna be a larger conversation. So I want to hear the breaking news.
Okay, in hey Kevin Tehan
Hi.
or Kevin Anonymous Man. By the way, there are
Breaking
already
news.
Well, the Kansas City Star is reporting that on Jayhawk Talk, Bill Self had a nasty fall while filling his car with fuel. I believe that's called gas. At West 6th Street on the morning of New Year's Day. Self said there was so much blood in the aftermath of the faceplant it resembled a crime scene. After grabbing some paper towels, he drove back to his house, not the hospital, to ice his face and cut down on the swelling. Bill Self is okay, made it to practice. Again, Bill Self suffered a fall, and he said that there was so much blood it resembled a crime scene.
But he is okay. He's okay now.
I should have led with that.
Is this a rally fall?
So should the story. Rally
Is this
fall.
a rally
Rally
fall?
blood.
Are you?
Floor
This
burns.
doesn't even sound real.
No, it's real.
I just
It's
saw
real.
it too.
It's real. I saw it like an hour and a half ago. It's,
Okay.
it's not breaking. But yeah.
So not
What's
breaking.
going on here? I don't know. I just
Wow.
saw.
Not cool,
How do
Mike.
we? Bill Self on Hawk Talk says he was bleeding all over the place. Went home. Made it to
Is he
practice.
wounded?
He's like
Have we
showing
seen
it.
it?
You think he's like rubbing his blood on their faces? Like, this is what the fuck I'll do.
Yes.
Some Harbaugh shit. That's some Jim Harbaugh shit. What do you think?
Yes.
Geez, how early was this? Why is Bill gassing up morning of New Year's Day?
This is a rookie of the year situation where instead of messing up his rotator, he hit his head. And next thing you know, it's five guard lineups the rest of the season. Like it's just
This
No.
is the second rookie of the year reference in the last 3 episodes. Fantastic.
More. We need more.
More.
I'm going all centers.
Okay. So what I was going to say about Bill is when it comes to like these guys not knowing their role, and he is kind of got certain dudes in the doghouse, and how you may have to evolve that philosophy and the transfer portal era is like when you go back 2 years when Roy Williams retired, Coach K retired, it kind of was seen as like this changing of the guard, and these dudes wanted to kind of get out when college basketball was changing. But the big one was Jay Wright, because he was a guy who the other two you would say, well, they've coached forever and they're old, so it's time to get out. When Jay Wright got out, it was like, oh, these dudes really don't want to be a part of this new era of college basketball. They don't want to have to deal with the headaches and having to like change how they coach, so they're just going to get out. And that was weird with Jay because he had just won 2 titles in 3 years at Nova. And then when Bill stayed, other than Calipari, who didn't have things really humming at Kentucky, it was kind of seen as like, I know for us, for KU fans, it was like, oh, this guy's not afraid. He's gonna prove that he could dominate in the old era, and he's going to dominate in the new era. And he goes out and he gets these great transfer classes, and it's like no one is better
Going for
at this.
throats.
Right, going for throats. No one is better at this than Bill Self. And he talks about how he's reinvigorated and he's as motivated as he's ever been. And now, coming off the heels of last season, you go out and get this transfer class. You're the #1 team in the country. You bring Hunter Dickinson back. And I know for a lot of KU fans, it feels like more of the same. It's like, here we go again. You have the pieces. They're just not fitting together, whether that's their fault, your fault. Ultimately, like, you're the one who assembled this roster. You have to answer for it if there are shortcomings or if there are guys who don't fit into your system. Like, you have to answer for that. And part of me now is left wondering if, like, going back to when everything was changing and these guys are getting out of college basketball and Bill Self's like planting his flag and he is digging his heels into the ground saying, like, I'm not going anywhere. If he thought at the time that like he could bend this new era of college basketball to his will. Like, not like, hey, I'm going to change and I'm going to show that I can evolve and be the best coach in this new era. That was my thought at the time. But now that we're a couple years into this, I'm starting to wonder if he was thinking that like, no, I'm not going to change, but I'm going to show that my style, my philosophy, my culture can win regardless of the circumstances, because it's starting to feel like that's not true. It's just like, you can't do it.
Not
I don't care
about
how
style.
great you are. whatever. Like,
I think it's like I'm looking around. I'm the big dog, and we get to pay people. Like I'm gonna have the best roster every year.
but he
I'm the king.
had to know
my time.
know the challenges that would come with constructing a roster like that versus bringing in freshman homegrown talent, which you go to all of his best teams, they've all had those dudes. All his Final Four teams, his national championship rosters, they've all had guys that had been in the system, that were culture dudes, program dudes, dudes who are going to have their jerseys retired, whether it's Ochai, like 2012, Thomas Robinson, Frank Mason, Devontae Graham, like all these dudes, you're not going to get those guys ever again, right? That's gone. And I'm beginning to wonder if Bill Self can win without those kinds of guys.
It's like, well, it's such a question of like, we don't know because he's played the same three guys for two really bad years.
The entire NIL era.
The entire era. And like, that's kind of a mistake, but it does feel like most of the transfers have not, like, they've taken time. I've said it before. Like, I even go back to McCuller's first year, and like, it took him a lot of time till the end of the year. Malik Newman till the end of the year. Remy Martin, who the fuck knows how that happened? So like, you know, like, it's weird the ones that have worked out, but for the most part, like, if you're a transfer looking at coming to KU,
Don't.
someone
I don't know. I think you need to look and see who the 3-year players are that Bill Self loves or that are ahead of you. That's what you need to figure out before you transfer to KU. Because Hunter knew right away he was going to be the guy, and he was. So, I mean, Zeke came in and nobody was going to take his position. So, I mean, I think it's still possible.
But
I don't
that's
think that-
hindsight
yeah.
being 2020. Like when this roster was finalized in the offseason,
yeah.
not a lot of people were predicting Zeke was going to be a starter, and even less people were predicting that he was going to look like this team's best player.
I said Zeke thought that. So, but to your point, you don't have to hit on all of them. You have to hit on enough of them. And we're going to have an exodus again, and he's going to have to fill dudes again. And that's just how this is going to have to work. So, yeah, you might miss some, but you don't have to hit on all of them. But you just can't have 6 Nick Timberlakes.
But let's just say that this season continues on this weird trajectory.
Too many
And
Timberlakes.
AJ and Rylan, maybe they have this sort of rise and fall throughout the season where they have moments they look good and then back in the doghouse. How many more of those seasons do you think Bill Self has in him?
I think it's going to change. I mean, we always said he was going to be done 3 years, 2.5. I mean, I set the over at 2.5.
I think at this, like right now, January 2nd, 2025, I'm probably taking the under on that 2.5.
I mean, I said 2.5 at the start of the year.
Why are you ballooning?
Why are you ballooning?
I have no idea, but apparently, Happy New Year, brothers.
Those balloons at me.
I don't know what's happening, man. I've been up for hours. I left Japan at 5:50 p.m. today, landed in LA at 10 a.m. today, and it's now 7:45 p.m. today. I'm tired.
Time is a flat circle.
I
It
Yeah,
love
doesn't
it.
exist.
I love
It's
it.
just, it's a
I might
construct
sit-
of your imagination.
it's a big day.
What about
for the Scoop,
sleep?
man?
Optional.
Optional.
Arigato.
Question: Have you guys? How much have your expectations for the season changed in the past 2 weeks? Because at the beginning of the
think so.
season, I think it was, Final Four is I think disappointment if you're not in the Final Four. How much has that changed, if at all?
I don't think it's changed substantially. Like I still think this team's ceiling is a Final Four team. So
Sure. What are your
I think
expectations?
the unbridled optimism that I had before they ever played a game has dissipated. It's certainly dissipated since the Duke win or the North Carolina win, but I'm not ready to sit here and say that it's just not going to happen this year. I'm not willing to make that declaration yet.
I think a lot of people on Twitter are.
Hard because I mean, half the players that we were really excited about, here we are in 2025. They're not very good. I didn't expect that. I mean, you expect one to fall off. You expect one of the wings to maybe not get minutes, or I don't know. I didn't expect Zeke to go 25, 26, 27 points, whatever. But none of the wings are any good.
It's weird when they're all having the same issue, right?
Yeah. And they're different players too. Like that's the thing that's kind of weird is they look a lot alike on the court right now, but
Right.
you look at their games last year, two very different players. And they're both, to your point, I think there's a trend that you have to kind of wonder, like, why is it
Look,
all
like
look exactly the same?
this is Kansas basketball right now, right?
Apologies to
You
the audio listeners.
sorry. Can you?
Mike is
You
showing.
can't see
Mike
my
is.
mouth.
We're grinding tape right now.
It's a picture of KJ setting a screen. What is it? Zeke coming off. No one is. There's four dudes in the paint. The screen is taking place well behind the 3-point line. That's how West Virginia guarded KU all game. It's just not a good recipe right now. So I guess I'm pivoting away from the dudes who transferred in back to the KJ thing, but like the pieces are I believe the pieces are there. This team is talented enough. My expectation is still Final Four. We're Kansas. Why can't we expect the same of Bill that he expects of his players? And like, right? Like it's being stubborn to a point. That's really what it feels like. I've got more. This is one possession. I don't even know if you can see this, but it's one possession and it's just KU running around, the ball is going around the perimeter, and KJ's dude is circled here and he's not moving. He's just been parked the whole time, regardless of where KJ is. I mean, KU's playing 4-on-5. Like that's what's happening right now.
But you know what's funny is that none of this is like new. This conversation that we're having
That's true.
is not unique. We had this conversation last year. We had it in the summer, and we're having it again. That it's not that I can't believe you're doing this. It's that I can't believe you're still doing this. And I think I'm probably less. I'm probably less on, like, if we're handing out slices of blame pie. I know everybody wants to go like 90-10 Bill Self versus the players. I'm definitely not there. I'm probably closer to a 50-50 split. Like, I'm not just going to absolve Griffin and Storr of any blame for like not earning minutes. There's something you're doing. There is something that you're not doing.
I agree.
That makes these coaches not want to play you. And part of me says, like, well, what am I supposed to? Am I really supposed to say, like, yes, Bill, play the worst player, like play the guys who aren't doing what you ask? Like, we can talk about skill and talent and like what they bring and what it provides you in terms of lineup options. I get it. I get all of it, but it's also tough when you're making that argument. You have to, in a way, say, you play the guys who aren't doing what you're asking them to do. Because if you're a coach, like if you're Bill Self, you're saying, like, then what's the fucking point of this? Like, I've been doing this for a long time. It works. Trust me. I have the trophies to prove it. So why do I have to change now just for these guys?
What does KJ do that he wants? Because, like, I know it looks like he plays hard, but he doesn't rebound. They're worse defensively with him on the court. And the weirdest thing about KJ to me is like how he never improved as a shooter and has like kind of gotten worse, even though he lives in a building with a literal shooting gun. Like, to me, that doesn't seem like hard worker. I'm just gonna say it. Like, on the court, sure, he plays hard. He's gonna try, I guess. but like I know last year I heard that the team wasn't really putting in hours outside of practice, outside of Hunter, I think was the one, because like obviously dude is like pretty fucking skilled, like he's working at that. But I don't know that these other guys are kind of doing the one, the Devontae, the Frank
Ochai.
Mason, the Ochai,
Ochai
right?
was the
Where
big
you just hear they
off season, just the crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
Frank and Devontae did that too, I think. Like I think their last year they like stopped fucking around.
Mhm.
And I don't see that from this other dude. So I agree that it's also on the players, but like I don't blame them for being like, is anyone like, are you guys all seeing this shit? Because it's got to feel hypocritical, and I think AJ Store has got a lot to do with it. I think like Ryland is just close to the blast radius. It seems like.
Yeah, he just plays the same position and is also a first-year player.
KJ
Yeah.
has averaged basically 30 minutes the last 7 games, 8 games, 9 games.
But that's
30.
his season average, right? He's
Correct.
averaging about 30 for the
But he's
year.
28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 27, 28, 29, 30. Like it's
Stop
exactly the
reading
same
it.
every game. My question to you is rest of season, today going forward. Nice. Today going forward, 27 minutes over under rest of season.
Over.
I mean, that would
Over.
certainly be the what you would expect based on what we've seen.
All right, round of 32, loss, boom, book it.
If he, I think there's a question here that like it's like I want to put a line in the sand after the West Virginia game, and I want to see how this goes, because this is, you could maybe excuse away a couple of these other like road losses, whatever, but you've had a week and a half of practices. Allegedly, they've been good practices, and then they come out like that.
They allegedly stupid.
And you go back on the road. You go back on the road Sunday versus like a not bad UCF team.
That
just
went
beat
well
Texas
last
Tech.
year.
They have come out flat so many games this year. KU. Is that a leadership thing?
It's an everything thing, you know? Like I know what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
I know
true.
we're trying to like boil this down to like one root cause.
Yeah,
And it's not. I know it's not as simple as everybody wants to make it out to be.
that's true. Two other pieces is like one now these teams are more familiar with KU, right? Like Duke and UNC, especially Duke, right? They're going to play the way they're going to play because they're trying to get ready down the road, right?
Dude,
But now these
all played us exactly the same. You don't have to do anything.
They all played us the same. West Virginia had the same.
Anything to like, it is the exact same. Those 3 games were exactly the same.
The Big 12 in the teams around here who have been watching know what to do against KU.
You
They're
have to
20-13 in 2014. That was their record. Why are we doing the same thing? And it's almost felt like they've doubled down. And I guess it's Bill making a point, right? Like at some point, what's he gonna? Is there a Johnny Furphy out there? Because honestly, like while it was fun, it didn't really end up making that much of a difference, right? Give us a little more.
Furphy
hope.
catching strays in
But I'm
2025.
just saying, like, no, Furphy
We're leaving
was
that in
sick, but, like,
2024.
that's how kind of desperate we are, where it's like, well, it's January. We have to hope to see something we haven't seen yet.
All right, so who's going to be the
That's disappointing
of this year? Who's the Malik?
I've got it.
Who
I've
is the
got it.
Flory?
we haven't seen play
It's-
well yet? Who's going to
It's
be
Flory.
It's Flory, but this take is from 2 days ago before that game. We have to talk Flory. We have to talk Flory now. If KU would have won, they lost by 1 point. If they would have won by 1 point, this would be the Zeke Mayo and Flory Bidunga episode. Bidunga, sorry. It was so funny that we finally saw a different lineup, but it was just another 2 big lineup, and it worked. Flory was insane in that game, and I know like you go back and look at his box score and you say, well, okay, like 8 points, 11 rebounds. It's solid. It doesn't sound crazy, but all of that production, all of it,
KJ
came in
had
the second half.
KJ had 1 rebound for the
Yeah,
record. 28
and
minutes.
and Bidunga had 11 rebounds in 17 minutes.
How is it possible?
Even
the
Mitch
too
rebounded.
big. It's the too big lineup, but the second big is actually he plays big. He's not 6'2", including the hair.
Yeah, he's tall, he's long, he's athletic, he's bouncy, he brings energy. And it's so funny that we talk about spacing and needing to create more opportunities for guys on the perimeter. They played great with no spacing because they just dumped it down. He doesn't miss. Flory doesn't miss. He's 8 for 8 in the last 2 games. It's awesome. I want him to get as many touches as possible.
We're not like spacing, yes, or just guys you got to guard. Like,
Yeah,
that's simple. Like, you have to pay attention to Flory or he will dunk on you. And I think one of the biggest mistakes of the staff, sorry, I can't talk, this year is Flory's minutes in December. It's like 7 minutes against Mizzou, 8 against NC State, 14 against Brown, 15 against Furman, 8 against UNC Wilmington. Now we're back in November. But like, why didn't you play the freshmen more? Like, that's really pretty limited. 7 and 8 minutes back to back there, I guess. I don't know. 12 and 7 Creighton, Missouri losses. Flory is the Furphy.
Yeah, the easy answer to why he's not getting more minutes is that he's playing behind an All-American. But I know that there are people who are ready to say, I don't care. Like, I want more of that guy. And I'm kind of in that camp. It's like, I don't care where you put him at the 4, put him at the 5, whatever it takes, get him on the floor. Just get him on the court. Because going back to the whole...
So bad in that game.
What?
We were getting out-rebounded so bad in that game. I mean, extra possessions were just... That was it. And to come back, you had to get some extra possessions. We weren't stealing the ball. He was just getting it. That helped. He's also 5% on the season. If you're curious.
KU's best 5-man lineup this year per Evan Maya by a wide range. Flory and Hunter are both in that lineup, by the way. But they only have...
Tell me Diggy's in there.
16 possessions. Yeah, Diggy's in there.
Yeah, he is.
Dewan and Zeke. It's Flory, Hunter, Dewan, Zeke, and Diggy. But they played like 16 possessions, whereas the starters have played 137.
Don't care.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I want more Diggy.
You know what's insane is that the lineup that everybody has clamored for all season, which is Dewan, Zeke, Rylan, AJ, and Hunter, we've seen like none of. We've seen none of that. We've seen lineups where they've went
26 possessions of it.
Yeah, where
it's not a lot.
I think and that's the big thing is that they have not went small like at all. At all. They've given you spurts here and there, but it's not like it's the wrong small lineup. They don't do it, which is tough to do when you have a guy who nobody wants to see playing 30 minutes a night. But at this point, I'm like, I'll take whatever you'll give me that's different. So even if you refuse to go small, then can I just see Flory play 24 minutes a game? Can we just try that?
This is wild. I hadn't seen this. KU's best 3-man lineups over 25 possessions. So again, really limited sample here. Like embarrassingly limited is actually the point. Flory's in all 3. Flory and Dick actually together are in all 3 of KU's 3 most efficient 3-man lineups, 25 possessions or more, which again, incredibly small amount of possessions compared to KJ, Hunter, and Dewan have over 400 together. So the other one's at like 30. Doesn't make sense.
Here's what I don't understand.
Does that make sense?
Why has the lack of minutes not affected Flory's confidence? Just built different? Because the more you have guys like him and Zeke who are able to like overcome whatever challenges present themselves with being a new player, in a Bill Self team, the more you see guys succeed when you see Flory go out there and have the game he had. If I'm Bill Self, I'm saying, well, if he can do it, why can't you? He's been playing less than Rylan and AJ. So if he can do it and come off the bench and provide a huge spark, why do you need all these different circumstances? Why do you need all the confidence? You need me to tell you how great you are. You need me to play you 25 minutes a game. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. But if I'm a coach, I'm looking at guys like that and guys like Zeke. I'm like, he's new. He's figured it out.
Bill's been good with Flory. I think Flory's not been in the doghouse, really. He just hasn't played much, and Bill was like, I regret not playing him that much after the Mizzou game. Those other guys, I think, have been shit on.
Did you know that Diggy Coit is plus 20 in plus minus in our losses, the last 2 losses? I'm just saying it.
Diggy...
Just
But you know
Diggy-
what? But you know what, though, Mech? I thought about this. I thought about you during that comeback.
I'm just-
Is when Flory and Zeke were taking over in the second half, they never, like, they went, I don't know, 10 minutes of game action, 12 minutes of game action without making any substitutions. They just ran with that 5. And Diggy was out on the court the whole time. He wasn't doing shit. While Zeke and Flory were taking over. And I was like, I thought about Mech because I was like, Diggy's plus minus for this game is going to be great. And he's not doing anything.
Go back and watch that game. You can't tell. You can't. When he is on the court, he is not doing nothing. That dude is everywhere.
Yeah, he is.
He's being places. He's not doing anything. He's just being around aggressively.
Correct, but he's causing havoc. He's messing with your head. Don't
You know,
don't come on the podcast and start saying bad things about Diggy. Diggy has nothing to do with any of this. His only sin is
I wasn't saying anything. If anything,
handing it to KJ. He should have just taken it himself, like the alpha that he is.
Yeah, if anything, I wasn't saying anything bad about Diggy. I might have been saying something bad about you and your infatuation with single game plus minus.
Oh, no, that was a 2 plus minus for the record, plus 20.
I remember when KU had that stretch in the early 20 teens when they got, the beginning of the one and done era. All their top recruits were wings, right? You got Xavier Henry, you got Macklemore, you got Wiggins, Kelly Oubre. And there was a point in time where I kind of wondered, I was like, Selby, yeah,
Selby.
more of a guard, but point taken. Where I kind of wondered, like, is this really the spot I want to go if I'm an elite wing who's trying to get to the NBA next year? An elite guard, sure. An elite big man, absolutely. You're going to get a lot of touches if you can get out of the doghouse. But the wings never really looked that great. I know a lot of people were underwhelmed with Andrew Wiggins' freshman year at Kansas. Kelly Oubre was on a bad team. But the guys who have thrived in that position have either been shooters or just do everything guys like Josh Jackson, right? It was like, I'm gonna rebound, I'm gonna play defense, I'm gonna shoot a little bit, I'm gonna be aggressive offensively. Like, those are more anomalies. And I'm starting to kind of wonder, like, if I'm an elite wing or if I'm a transfer wing now, I don't know if KU's the place I'm gonna come. I don't know if I'm gonna go play for Bill Self because it seems to be difficult for guys to figure out what it takes to have success.
Ochai and Jalen Wilson kind of in that like 4 role.
Yeah, it took him 3-4 years.
I don't think Wayne Selden is gonna like reflect fondly on his development at KU. I'm just saying, like, he's a case study for this.
Yeah, but
Quinn Grimes.
Wayne Selden was here for 3 years, and he started damn near every single game while he was at
think
Kansas.
he had plenty of opportunity, but it's just like not. It's KU runs a system. It is just this is a set, like, tried and true system. And if you can't run it, it's just not for everyone. I don't know, but they're not. Self also said, like, we don't recruit to that in the portal. We just get the best guys and hope it works.
It works.
And, like, look, I get that to an extent, but, like, AJ Storr, there was tape on, like, and many coaches who he played for. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, to come in and fight this fight, Either you change how you play, which is what I think Bill did a lot of saying. I think that's probably just how he recruits. I don't know. Like, we're going for round one. We're changing our offense. And then it's just like, I'm going to double down the opposite way because I don't think you're trying hard in practice. Which is valid. Like, AJ Storrs has not been good.
Hasn't been good either, like, to be clear.
Oh, he's been bad defensively.
He's bad.
AJ Storrs been bad, like, just generally speaking. He's bad. Like, he's in his own doghouse too. I don't know.
I mean, Nick,
like, he needs to play better.
Your tweet about those two guys, why would you want to see more of them, is fair based on what we've seen on the court. But it's also kind of weird that all of them, like Shaq Moore can't get on the floor. You could wherever you go. I mean, this was the thing we started at the beginning of the year. We were kind of joking, like, wow, this team's so deep.
Only one ball.
It's gonna always end up with 7 or 8 guys. Like, it's always just gonna end up with 7 or 8 guys. And here we are. Like, someone asked what happened to Shaq Moore. It's like kind of a good question.
He guards. I mean, I think Shaq Moore wasn't practicing a ton. Almost departed the team. Like, that happened, for the record. Allegedly.
Good news.
And yeah, but I don't think that was his choice.
To come back?
No. To maybe leave.
You know who has the funniest basketball reference page ever is AJ Storr. Because at the top, when it shows the player bio, it shows high school. Hometown, Rockford, Illinois. High school. There are 4 high schools listed. Under school, there are 3 colleges listed. Like, going back to Mike's point, there was tape on him. Not only was there tape on him, there was just information. Wouldn't you have some serious questions about this guy and why he has played on 7 different teams in the last 7 years? Has AJ Storr, can somebody do some deep digging on like his high school career? Has AJ Storr spent more than 1 year at any basketball program, be it college or high school, since he was 15 years old?
No.
Wouldn't that raise some alarms?
Isn't that the story? Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that raise some questions? Wouldn't you have some concerns about, like, what's your deal, man? Just haven't found the right system yet? So, like, for him, it's tough for me to give the benefit of the doubt of, like, well, they just got to let him play through it. I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't seem to be happy anywhere he goes.
I actually agree with Justin's take here. Bill likes dickheads. He just wants to mold them to his kind of dickhead. This can go both ways. We've seen it work and we've seen it not work, right? It's a double-edged sword. And a lot of what makes Bill great is a double-edged sword too. This competitive, almost stubborn nature. And I think we're seeing some of the other side of that right now, where the pieces aren't fitting. And so he's just not going to go away from guys that he doesn't, I think, like, it seems like, respect, I guess. It's really very odd. The one other thing, well, it's a little bit of a pivot, but we haven't talked about Hunter a ton. The other thing that's been disappointing to me with coaching this year is KU has continued to run hard hedge screens from Hunter, having him way up out on top, hedging against a screen, especially against athletic teams. And like, it's the Gonzaga playbook. West Virginia appeared to do it a ton based on my understanding here, my limited game analysis. So like, we're running the same defense that we know doesn't really work with Hunter.
Yeah,
that's less of a Hunter thing. But he's doing what he's told. I feel like these guys are consistently put in a really bad position.
It's the worst pick and roll defender on the planet. Like, I've never seen worse. Like,
as a hedger, yes, but they're fucking up behind him too. KJ,
I understand, but the fact is, like,
They
they
got to
have to
drop back.
find him because he's such a mess. Like, they cannot continue to roll him out and play that defense. Fucking go to his own, roll him back, do something. I don't care if it leads to open shots on the perimeter. We cannot keep letting layups. Just like that first half was impossible to watch. Like, it was the worst. Like, go back and watch that first half, Mike, and just watch Hunter the whole time.
I've seen clips.
It
Were
was-
they just running the screens out up top?
Yeah, I mean, it's yes.
Yeah, he's put.
They were
We
just
know this doesn't work.
anything they wanted, and he was blaming AJ Store and he's blaming other people. Like, no, like, your defense might be part of the problem.
And it's not only like Hunter is bad at that, but they are putting him in a spot that everyone in the country knows is bad. It doesn't make
He's
sense.
got to be in the paint and just take up space and deal with what happens until it hurts you, because the alternative is what we saw against West Virginia without their two best players.
It's
Allen Fieldhouse and scoring 10 points in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Mike and I have texted back and forth on this several times, going back to last year, because there is a small, albeit loud, faction of KU fans who are ready to just say, like, it's not just a KJ problem. It's not just a KJ next to Hunter problem. It is Hunter is part of the problem with his limitations. And Mike and I have texted back and forth because we're like, are these people serious? He is a top 10 player in college basketball. Like, simply giving him the ball in the post is one of the most efficient moves you have in college basketball. I will say that we're about 2.5 months away from everybody in that group maybe being able to take a little bit of a lap. If this season goes the way it's went so far and we have a similar finish to the year like we did a season ago, it's going to be really hard to not look back at those takes and say, like, were they maybe onto something? Because it goes back to the idea of, if you're going to play him and you're going to play him next to a guard who can't shoot,
him.
it's like you need to build a perfect system around him. And they went out and got the pieces to do that. And it's not happening.
Well, you got to shoot 3-pointers too, and we shoot 10 a game.
Yeah.
You got to be able to stretch the floor a little bit.
And our whole 3-point game is like Zeke going and getting his own shot, which has been very effective the last 2 games. But Diggy does the same.
And Juan wide threes.
Juan wide open, and Diggy doing like a lighter version of what Zeke does when he's on the court, and a less effective version of it. But that's it.
And Ryan shooting it the second he gets his hands on it, when he's about to get pulled.
1 or 2 Ryland corner threes, 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half, and then he goes to the bench.
It's got to get it up.
I mean, for the don't play AJ, or for the don't play KJ guys, but KJ fucks this up too. I've got good screen caps of them fucking up on defense if you're curious, but behind Hunter, right? So it's Hunter gets blamed for that Gonzaga game, but again, to not change how you're going to guard is just crazy when this is the roster you have picked, right? This is their choice. And so I don't know. They might be able to take a lap, but I still will say that dude is being put in a bad spot. Here's a screen on the left. You can see it. Hunter's out there hedging. Actually, in front of the screen, AJ Store has rolled behind. We're looking for the left image. Has rolled behind. He's in the paint. And for some reason, AJ has decided to jump out to the perimeter and leaves the guy wide open in the paint. All right, that's bad.
Yeah,
it's just really
very
bad. And then
boys in the post game how bad he was. Defense in particular. He was upset about him not being aggressive, but he was mostly mad about his ability to defend.
And then here's Hunter coming back off a hedge, but it just sets a screen on Dewan, which is, again, he's got to drop back. This is not going to work, but this is the defense they have been told to play.
Okay, I have a take here.
We'll move.
And it's a pivot from what we've talked about. And we've only got about
We
5
should
minutes
pivot.
left, so I feel like this is a good note to end on. I was in the field house for the Brown game, and I was there with my fiance. And at one point, she was just kind of like looking over at KU's bench, and she said, "Man, they have a lot of coaches." And I went there and I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. KU has 9 coaches, and my take is simply that's too many. That you do not need. What happened to the days of a head coach and 3 assistants, and then you got like the stat keeper and the trainer, and now they have so many fucking coaches now. The walk-ons don't even get to sit on the bench. The walk-ons sit behind the bench next to paid fans. That's humiliating. You've
They
made
have to buy
it.
those seats, by the way.
They're like, hey, I don't know if
NIL.
you've heard, NIL, we're building a new football stadium. We got some
Things
new
are
fan
tight.
areas in the concourse. So we're going to cut you a deal, family and friends discount. But that is humiliating to be on the Kansas roster and you're sitting next to some dude eating fucking nachos and Sprite.
I will not
Because
allow
you have,
Sadler's slander. I just won't. I won't allow it.
but here's
Work makes me very, very happy.
here's
I-
my,
Yes,
there's
sir.
something going on here. It's not normal because I looked across at Browns. I mean, it's Brown. They didn't have 9 coaches.
Brown.
They didn't.
Wait, all right,
Wait,
stop,
somebody
stop,
needs to
stop,
They
stop.
have one
No.
assistant.
I'm done with
I
this.
want to do a deep dive. I want to do
Yeah.
research of all Big 12 coaching staffs.
At the
I want Nick traveling to other arenas with the clicker that they have. at,
Connor
like, bars
Stallions.
And click, 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 click. All right, they have 6.
filming. Wait, all right.
Maybe
At the
we-
beginning of this podcast, Mech, you said, I'm sorry, I just cut you off too. Mech, you said you're hopeful or you're glad it happened now because it could create a change. I feel like this is a good looking forward take. Like, do we want to get into like, do we think was this the catalyst for change? Are we there? Are we at that point? And Mech, if you were going to finish that take, you should finish it.
No, I think where you're going is better.
Thanks, dude.
I was just going to talk more.
I'm looking at the clock. So like, yeah, is this the pivot point? Should it be?
It has to be. It has to be. It absolutely.
What is the pivot? Is it more Flory?
It's a double pivot. You need the players to play better, and you need Bill to change how he's playing them, how he's coaching. I'm dead. I don't have a lot of optimism
We haven't heard a lot from you
for the double pivot. Well, I was late. Babies wouldn't sleep.
How do you think?
So I think we know that. Like we know Flory's going to play more minutes, one way or the other. He has to get. I think he knows he has to get out there. I think that the offense is going to look more like what we saw in that second half, where you let Mayo cook. Like
Yeah.
he needs to get up 6 or 7 threes a game. I don't care how they come up, because he's making 3 of them, and the dude is just. When he's making those, he's got anything he wants off the dribble. Like, he's fun to watch right now. And then we have to see a lineup be less than 27 minutes of KJ. It has to. He would be the most awesomest energy guy off the bench. Change of pace.
And I don't think
you got 2 rebounds. Hell yeah.
you want to talk about a guy you don't have to worry about losing mentally, which, by the way, I've always thought that's a giant crock of shit. It's like, oh, well, if you bench him, then maybe you lose him. Then okay. Then you're not cut out for this. KJ, you wouldn't even have to worry about that.
Right.
KJ would go off the bench and he'd be fine. He would be the same guy he's been the last 3+ years at KU.
He's always
You don't
been-
think he's got like another, gear in him where he's like, I'm not going to shoot well now.
Well, good news for you on that front, KJ.
that's not.
You think that's going to be his angle? Is like, I cool down after warm-ups if I go to the bench. I need to be staying in so I can keep this flowing.
You know what's wild is KJ, like, efficiency-wise, having the best season he's ever had at KU.
Cool.
Yeah.
What offensive offensive efficiency?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of that is just like he's got a
he
decent
gets
assist rate. He doesn't turn the ball over very much. Like,
Never turns
He gets some dunks. He gets some dunks.
okay, I
But
will say this.
but
I
the
mean,
team's offensive
we glossed over the
efficiency is-
end of that game. We didn't really ever talk about. Mike, did you ever go back and watch like the last 2 minutes of the game versus?
I know
West
what
Virginia?
happened. I know what happened.
You know, a lot of people want to crush him for the last play. Fine. I think that it's a little more nuanced than that. The play where they stole the inbounds and he went right into that dude's chest, and I don't think he drew iron on that shot. That sucked the life out of me. Watching that attempt, I was like, "Oh no!" All I was thinking in my head was like, "Kick it out." Anybody else? Someone? Anyone?
It wasn't even an athletic play, which is the most wild part. Like if he had a head of steam and just went up and tried to dunk on him, you're going to get a foul call every time. He did like an unathletic, like go straight into his chest, like awkward. It was very frustrating.
Flory
Yeah,
makes
it
that.
It looked like
Hey,
something
Flory,
I would
Flory
have
made
tried
that.
to do. It looked like something that one of us would have tried to do in that situation. This is my moment.
He's pretty
It's like-
consistently
Yeah.
tried to be that hero late in games,
Yeah, you're right.
and it doesn't.
I think part of that though, this is crazy, but I think part of that is like what Bill Self likes. He's assertive. Like, hey, I'm going up with it. There's no second guessing. Like whatever I'm going to do, I'm just going to do it. Whether it's driving, shooting, there's no hitch in his giddy up.
It's
And
like old poker trope. Like if you're going to screw up aggressive.
yeah,
Like be like do it. Go hard in the paint. He's always aggressive. He's always not. Now aggressive is two things. Aggressive is like having the mindset to do it. He's good at that. Actually doing the aggressive thing is what he sometimes misses, and he's the most athletic guy on the court, and he doesn't always play to that. That's
Lance, we gotta get this guy out on the football team. These crazy fans.
he should be a tight end. We've said that forever. He caught a
Well,
great
he's-
pass on that quarterback throw down the court. I mean, it's a great
throw, great toss by Hunter.
Great
It was
catch.
a great throw. It was a great catch. It'd be a great time to just put those two T-Rex claws together in the T shape. Have you heard? Was there a plan? Was that the plan? Does anybody know? Was that
It
the
had to
plan?
have been to call timeout. The plan
Or was
had
he
to be
supposed
advance
to
the ball.
shoot a 16-footer?
It
By the way, no foul. They went so straight up on him. Maybe they fouled him catching the ball or something, but the
Doesn't
shot.
matter. That would have been the ultimate bailout of all bailouts. Self said it. The plan wasn't to call timeout. He wanted to go 1-on-1 with KJ. Is what he said after the game.
did say that.
1-on-3, I think.
Are we getting fucked with?
Well,
Like,
you
is
know
that
what?
what's going on?
Yeah. Yes. You know what's
I
funny
agree,
is Bill
Mikey.
Self knows that everybody wants to see KJ play less, and I think part of what he's doing is just like, fuck you guys, watch this.
I know.
I'm
Sunday- on
dialing up
Sunday?
a play.
On Sunday, he's playing 38 minutes, I bet.
Well, you know, Sam just asked, what do you guys think Kansas's best lineup is? And that's a really interesting question, only because I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. No one has an answer. All anybody knows is that KJ is not involved in it, but nobody can sit here and tell me, I've got the answer. These are the 5 guys. People will throw ideas out there.
Diggy.
No.
Okay, now you guys go.
No.
Oh, that's your first overall pick.
What if we
Diggy.
went? What if we went? What if we
Ow.
went? Diggy, KJ, Hunter, Flory, and Clemens.
Ah,
Okay.
ah.
Size.
Size plays.
I'm
I don't know.
so
Nobody
angry.
knows.
You know who
The
doesn't
fun
know?
games. The fun games
Bill.
of the offseason of Rylan, AJ. What did I say? Oh, AJ's going to average like 16 and a half. Fucking idiot. What am I talking about? What did we think was going to happen? It's not
Lance,
this.
Lance, they hate the
Kelly.
basketball team now.
I think right now
Shut up,
I'm
Kelly.
ready.
KJ's out of eligibility.
I think I'm ready to say Flory is in KU's best lineup right now.
Yes. Did you see him guarding 20 from the basket? He's a freak.
He's a
He's like a big scary spider out there.
They put
He
him
can
they put him to work defensively, and he got no breathers. They just kept
He was
going
so
at him. They
tired.
kept switching. He was so tired, but he just kept bringing the juice. That was so much fun. And obviously it ended with, like as Kevin astutely put it, KJ vomiting all over his jersey. But it was fun there for a few minutes. Okay.
How does Diggy have a higher defensive rebound rate than KJ?
because he's the man.
No, he's not.
Oh,
He is
you guys,
definitely not, dude.
you guys are so wrong on Diggy.
Here's the thing, Bryson. All right. This would lead me into another rant about what the fuck. How does KU guard KJ in practice? It's a question I have because
Tight.
I bet the plays look great. Guarding
What
him
if
tight.
KJ just dominates practice? Like that's what this is. No one can stop him.
That's because
in
they're like,
practice.
Bill won't let anyone play off him. It's like, look, these plays work. The fuck, you guys are fucking up, not me.
Like KJ's
If I'm a
just
walk-on, if I'm a walk-on in practice and you're supposed to guard KJ tight, I'm sending a message. I'm sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor, 8 feet away from him. Let him do his thing. Let him shoot it.
KJ just plays like Sean Kemp in practice, just shattering backboards.
Probably does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's practice. We're talking about practice. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure Bill is sitting there saying like, "Shit, I can't believe people want me to put this guy on the bench. Look at him. Look at that stud."
Armpits on the rim. Look at
I
that.
know a
That's
hell of a lot
incredible.
fucking more
Take a
than
picture
some
of
other
that.
people out there. Armpits on the rim.
So,
Hey
All right.
KT, your camera, your phone got a camera on it.
does it
You know it
have
does,
one of them
Coach. You know it does.
Oh, good God Almighty! Well, take a picture of that. Take a picture of his armpits up on the rim.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't believe you guys didn't want to talk more about the fact that they have 9 coaches. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
there's only one cook in the kitchen.
All
You think
these,
this
There's one coach.
okay, here it is. All
There's
these
one coach.
morons being gifted 6-fig salaries to sit on the bench and not help. Or you're being deconstructive by not fixing these problems. Bill needs help.
They
What
won't
do
let
you
him.
get paid for?
Bill,
All I
I
know
don't
is
think Bill's. I
next
don't think Bill's. Yeah.
he's going to show us a lot because we've got Central Florida
Fuck.
and we've got Arizona State. We should win both of those games.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should win. But what do you think the line is on Central Florida?
Is it out? You already know this answer, or are you asking?
I haven't looked at Ken Palmer or anything. I'm just asking you guys. What do you think what do you
Kansas -2.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kansas minus 2 or 3.
4. I think it's more.
I would say it's got to be more.
4.5.
I was going to say 4.5. That was my number.
What's the last road game KU won?
Do you want me to look at Ken Palm, what the number is?
Just 2022.
No, they won at least one road game last year. I think it was like Oklahoma
Oh, we
State.
got a request for Billy Eugene. The crowd wants Billy Eugene.
It's 4. We were close. And then it's a 9-point game against Arizona State.
Great.
We have to win both of these games because the next week we have predicted on Ken Palm 2 losses
To who? Cincy?
at
Iowa
Cincy,
State.
at Iowa State.
Iowa State might dog walk us.
We need to.
I'm not going to be a
You know
human being during that game.
You know what what Ken Palm's line is on that game?
Ooh.
Iowa
Like
State
Iowa State minus 7.
Cut the stream. Cut the stream.
8. 81-73.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Taman Lipsy with 38 points. Oh my God. Oh.
All I'm saying
gonna
is
be
you have to win these next 2 games.
The text my
I
father-in-law is going to
I'm
send
going
right
to
after that game.
freak out. I'm gonna freak out. I'm going to freak out. Hey, okay, can we end on if we could all
Why is it
change one
Taman
thing?
Lipsy?
Is that a Fran
Taman Lipsy with
Frischella?
38 points and 17 assists.
Fran.
Uh,
Fran,
what
get
do
him,
you think?
Fran.
40 in Ames.
Show the fans, Fran.
Hey,
Oh
who's
yeah,
what's the
Fran's on that
question?
call. I'm going to put my head through my screen, through my television.
What was
He
the
will.
question, Mike? What are we ending on?
Oh, I was gonna say we all get to pick one thing to change for KU basketball right now. Can you make that into a better radio-y question?
Can it be that? How,
Within
does it have to
realistic-
be?
Yeah.
So I can't
realistic-
say KJ Adams has a 7-foot wingspan now,
Yeah, no,
or
you
a,
can't
or
do
a
that.
yopper at 32 feet.
Yeah, he's 39.5% from 3. That would change that.
He
On
might be.
volume. On serious volume.
I think he's
What's the change?
Okay, mine is Rylan Griffin just starts an uptick. Rylan Griffin starts to get comfortable, starts to play more, starts to hit shots, starts to look like he belongs. That's it. Everything else can stay the same. If you just gave me that, not even knowing what that meant in terms of like KJ's minutes, if you just told me that Rylan Griffin started being a difference maker for this team, I would live with that.
That'd be great. Mac?
Okay.
Cav?
Can we go even crazier? Because
Yeah.
he already took Rylan.
We
All
can
of the
repeat.
bullying and head games, it all clicks with AJ, and he realizes it's time to play hard and play within the system, be aggressive when he needs to be, and he's like a 14 point. I can't even say it with a straight face. It's hard to imagine. He clicks. Something clicks.
Were you about to say he averages 14 points?
He holds an emergency press conference and says, like, I've had to do some soul searching. I haven't been a model teammate and a model player across the course of my basketball career, and I'm ready to turn over a new leaf.
You guys took all the good ones. Like that was the obvious ones. No, that the wing figures it out. Like that was the thing.
Wing.
You don't want to go Flory?
I
You
don't
don't want to do anything with Flory?
No, because like we're not gonna play 2 bigs like for very like just aren't.
Well, we do. We
You
do.
sure about that, pal?
I am.
We do.
sure
We
about
just
that?
play a big who's small.
What are you talking about? It's all we do. It's literally all he wants to do.
I'm saying we're not gonna play those 2. I know people say like that we're gonna see a lot more Flory. I think we're gonna see a lot more Flory. I don't know if it's gonna be those 2 together a lot. I don't know. I hope so. I think maybe that's the thing that unlocks everything. You start getting back to old high-low days. But no, I'm not.
Okay, how about this? If I told you that Flory is going to play 22 minutes a game the rest of the season, but all of those minutes, all those extra minutes, or whatever that math is, 7 extra minutes a game, they all come from Hunter. Are you taking it? Would you take that trade?
I don't know.
I don't know how to answer that.
I don't either.
No.
I don't think the answer is yes either. Yeah, I think I say no. I think
Just
100.
play them together. That's why we have to play them together, Kevin. You have to play them together.
I'm fine with it. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Hunter's
Can't believe-
missteps on defense cleaned up by the giant spider floor.
I cannot believe that Bill was like, might as well just go KJ, Flory, and Hunter then.
Okay. This has been a great episode. I think we fixed.
I didn't
Kansas
say
basketball.
one.
We're ending
I
on
didn't
that.
say one.
I didn't even
Oh.
say mine either.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Matt.
I thought Mech threw in the towel. I'm sorry.
No, I want to see more 3-point shots. Like we can't shoot 23 pointers a game, or 15, or 13. We can't. We can't do that.
25 a game.
25 is the number. Like that's actually not a lot. I mean, it's a good number.
What if that means 3 a game from KJ?
If
No.
25 a game, I would take 1 from KJ. I would take 1 every.
But it has hook shot.
Fine.
I'm cool with it.
All right, I'll do it. I'm in. 25 a game, basically 24. One from KJ. It will electrify the crowd if it drops. Sign me up.
We're 9 games in. He's 0 for 9. And we see him just lining up for number 10.
This maybe it is.
Just holding each other back.
I have a
I
oh wait, no, wait.
Okay.
Your thing.
I mean, the one no one has said is like less KJ, so I guess I'll take that. It's pretty boring.
Oh, that's cheap. That's a cheap answer.
What do you want me to do? Did someone say more Flory at the more Flory? I don't give a shit what position it is. No, it's less KJ, man. Like you need to change the offensive approach
And the
It's
defensive
like-
approach while we're at it.
like they can patch it up. Defense is not fuck it.
Jared says, save the women and children. KJ's spotting up in the corner. Oh, Lord.
Lance.
Hey guys,
Lance.
I'll be honest with you. When I was saying we should do a show tonight, and everybody but Kev was not sure about that. I'll just be nice. You guys were not sure about that. Under the weather, jet lagged, all the things. You guys have done a fine job, by the way.
Thank you.
The thing that I was doing instead of the show tonight was I got my guitar out and I was gonna put some bars down about a song to fix KU basketball. That's what I was gonna do tonight. But I
you know
think
how much
I've done a fine job here, and I don't have to do that now.
you know how much I love your
You
KU
got
basketball
time.
songs.
I was gonna do that tonight. That's I literally I had a pour. I was ready. I got this. I was sitting there. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna.
I was walking the streets of Tokyo singing, he wears a 44 jersey, call it a hard 8. His box scores. I didn't see one Mitch Lightfoot. I was in Japan for like 2 weeks. Didn't see one.
Is it their
Con-
off season?
Country is bullshit. No, I don't know. He just wasn't playing anywhere near where I was. I looked. I wanted badly to go. And just
Imagine
mostly
going to
confuse
Tokyo and
my
having to
wife.
convince your wife,
It
hey,
would've been
we're gonna go to a professional basketball game.
She'd be
But
like,
this
"Do
trip
you
is for
know him?"
us.
I'd be
This
like,
is a big trip for
"Kinda."
us. Yeah, but we're gonna go spend a
Yeah.
few hours. We're gonna spend
Imagine-
like 5 hours on the train going to get to Mitch's game.
I really was like, I was down. It's like, oh, we had a nice dinner tonight, but there's a stadium miso soup. there
Yeah, he
for ya."
lies. He lies. He's like, hey, there's this really cool restaurant I saw that's in Osaka. It's only a 3-hour train ride. If we leave now, we can make it there in time for dinner, and then we'll see if there's
He-
anything to do after.
He ain't playing in Osaka, by the way.
Is that too big of a city?
Too big. Yeah. Yeah. At least from what I saw. But I didn't even see one. I figured I'd see him walking around, at least one Mitch somewhere.
Right, because it's a small
Why-
country, and so
Why aren't they wearing Mitch jerseys everywhere? There's a song
Did
about
you-
the guy.
I tell you
Did
what.
you do man on the street interview and ask people what they think about Mitch Lightfoot?
A huge missed content opportunity. The language barrier is pretty steep, so I'd be like, oh, I'd say it, and then they'd just be like, Mitch, very good.
Champion.
Here,
Champion.
Mitch on Lightfoot did make it up to the number 8 in Japan on the billboard. So I'm just saying, it was a pretty big number there.
Something I did not know.
You got to do a song to save the season.
If we lose to, what is the way they don't like being called Central Florida? Yeah, if we lose to Central Florida, I'll do it.
Wait, they only like being called UCF?
Yeah, they don't like being called Central Florida.
it's like
this is
Kentucky
right.
Fried Chicken. It's like, no, it's just
Okay.
KFC.
Yeah, no, call them Central Florida, they get mad.
They love KFC in Japan, and for Christmas, it's a tradition for. I'm serious. People book this out. I think months out in advance. Their KFC chicken that they bring home for Christmas. Not a huge holiday in Japan. And
Must not be.
Marketing works apparently. So the Colonel, big in Japan.
Sounds like you really
Lightfoot.
learned a lot about the culture while you were there.
I did. I
It's just
did.
spouting KFC nuggets.
You like that?
I do.
Where the fuck was Mitch? It was bullshit.
Okay. This was fun. I'm glad we saved the season. Mech, I still think you should write a song and debut it in like a week or two. I don't know what your process is, but
Usually it's a night and drinking, and I'm done. And I don't
okay.
anything else. It doesn't take long.
Let's see how the game goes on Sunday, and then you can decide if it's time for a rally song.
We might need something.
Okay.
Mitch, I'm Lightfoot.
Mike Vernon, get some sleep. Kevin Tehan, Kevin Meckley. I'm Nick Schwert. This is Could Be Wrong. We'll see you next time.
Bye.